This video is not about Henry Ford's opinions of the Jewish community. If you want to know, the last thing I read was that he did renounce his opinions and his company built tanks and jeeps for American GIs in World War II. No, I want to talk a little bit about his business ethics though, because it's kind of weird to me that in today's economy, a major company can report massive amounts of profit and still decide to do layoffs. Am I in crazy land right now? Am I the only one who thinks that's kind of weird? Thank you for making us a lot of money. Goodbye. You don't work for us anymore. Like, we're go homeless. And you might be thinking, oh, Henry Ford's a capitalist automobile tycoon. Surely he wants to make as much money as possible, kind of technically, but also not really. Because Henry Ford believed that industrialists, or in today's lingo, I guess management, had a duty to protect their workers. You know, the 40-hour 5-day work week, you know who started that? Henry Ford. Before that, most people didn't even have days off apparently, which is kind of crazy to me. He also paid his workers more than his competitors and hired regardless of race and gender. Look up Albert Kahn, Henry Ford chief architect. Jewish. Probably not the greatest personal relationship, but hired someone Jewish. That says a lot. Yes. He also hired people to go over to his workers' houses to do wellness checks, because he was a prohibitionist and he didn't want his workers drinking. So that kind of sucked. But the wellness checks were also to make sure his workers weren't beating on their families. So that didn't suck. And that's just to name a few things he did. He was a capitalist who didn't like capital. His priority was the well-being of his workers. You might not agree with some of the things he did, but he did it for, in his view, the betterment of his workers' lives. He still became one of the richest people in the world, and his company still thrives today. I think they're worth over $1 billion. Again, Henry Ford wanted to do this because he wanted to make sure his workers didn't have to worry about living comfortably. Because it turns out if a worker is struggling to live comfortably, they realistically won't do better in their jobs. In the back of their mind, they won't be thinking about work. They'll be thinking about, oh my God, I can't feed my family, and that sucks. But today, we're are we really satisfied with the rich getting richer and companies making more money? Meanwhile, they're squeezing as much profit as possible and making their workers' lives miserable because the shareholders would be happy with that? Really? Is that a good thing? I can comfortably say that's probably not a good thing. Take Sony's Helldivers 2 situation, for example, because that shit pissed me off. People who purchased Helldivers 2 on PC were told linking a PSN account would be temporarily optional until people started playing it. And then Sony announced, oh yeah, that everyone needs to have a PSN account, including people who can't make PSN accounts, because a PSN is restricted in the countries. Guess what? You can't play anymore. Why? Does linking a PSN account make better gameplay for the player? No. Does linking a PSN account make the developer's job easier? No. Does linking a PSN account boost Sony's numbers up so they can boast about it in the next shareholder meeting? Yes! You know what really pisses me off? If Sony had their way, them jokers who bought Helldivers 2 in a country where they can't link a PSN account, they wasted $40. Great! Yeah, no! Power to the player, right? Yeah! Customer satisfaction and worker benefits slashed for profit. Do you think any worker would realistically work well if in the back of their mind they're worried about getting laid off? Probably not. So why the fuck would they work well when you're treating them like shit? Which is something Henry Ford didn't do. Nobody, except for corporate management and shareholders, like corporate greed. Not even someone who was considered the wealthiest man in America. That's all, I guess.